Morning, everyone. Welcome to Franklin County Board of Commissioners General Session. Today is December 13th, 2022. As a reminder, this is a public meeting and is being recorded. For those of you calling in, please ensure that your phone line is muted. Thank you. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome again. This is our last general session meeting of 2022, and we'll finish both the meeting and the year with the passage of our 2023 annual budget. Before we get into the agenda, though, I'd like to take a minute to recognize that this past Saturday, December 10th, was United Nations Human Rights Day. UN Human Rights Day recognizes the inherent dignity and equal and inalienable rights that are common to everyone worldwide. It commemorates the 1948 passage of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in which all member nations pledged themselves to promote universal respect for and observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms. That declaration has 30 articles, including that all human beings are born free, that they have the right to life, liberty, and security, that they are all equal before the law, and that they are entitled to equal rights to marriage, and many others. It's important to have these baselines established, even though we are still working toward a point where these freedoms are universally available. And I encourage everyone to take a few minutes today to look up the UN Declaration of Human Rights. Lastly, today I want to recognize the many winter holidays that our residents are celebrating. Here at the county, we have time off for Christmas and New Year's because those are the holidays that Congress recognizes, but we know that there are many other holidays at this time of year. Our Jewish residents will be celebrating Hanukkah starting next week. Las Posadas begins on Friday. Yule, or the winter solstice, is on December 21st. And of course, Kwanzaa begins on December 26th. These holidays and others are celebrated by many people in our community at this time of year. And it is my pleasure to wish all of our residents a happy holiday season and a healthy new year. First, we will start with Court of Common Pleas.
Resolution number 92822. Resolution authorizing consulting services from Raising the Bar Performance Group, LLC, for developing a diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility initiative in the amount of $100,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kimberly Canada, Director of Finance for the Common Pleas Court, and with me is Jennifer Goodman, Executive Director, and Valerie Johnson, Service and Inclusion Manager. This resolution approves a contract with Raising the Bar Performance, LLC, to provide consulting services to assist the court to expand their DEIA program. The consulting services will provide project planning, organization and policy review, strategic advising and coaching, as well as employee-wide training. The consulting services will begin January 2023 and will conclude by August 2023. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 928-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 92822 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Next, we have Clerk of Courts.
Resolution number 92922. Resolution authorizing a lease with Great Southern Shopping Center, LLC, for office space for the Auto Title South location in the amount of $989,437.80.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sean Reeder, Fiscal Officer for the Clerk of Courts. Also in attendance is Richard Sims, Director of Auto Title. The Clerk's main Auto Title branch, located on South High Street at 45 Great Southern Boulevard, has exhausted its current lease with Great Southern Shopping Center, LLC. The main title branch has occupied this location since September 2001. Under the guidance of the Franklin County Purchasing Department and the Prosecutor's Office, an RFP for leased office space was competitively bid in accordance with Ohio Revised Code. Great Southern Shopping Center, LLC, submitted the sole bid. Today's resolution authorizes a new 5-year lease with Great Southern Shopping Center, LLC, commencing December 1st and ending on November 30th, 2027. The annual cost of the lease is a fixed amount of $197,887.56, making the total cost over the 5 years $989,437.80. The lease includes one optional 5-year extension. Pending any questions, the Clerk's Office respectfully requests your approval of Resolution 929-22.
Right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 929-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 92922 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Resolution number 93022, resolution authorizing a supplemental contract with MAPSIS Incorporated to provide application support services for Franklin County Clerk of Courts and Probate Court in the amount of $251,900.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm April Hughes on behalf of Clerk of Courts Mary Ellen O'Shaughnessy, and with me today is Brian Evans on behalf of Probate Court. This resolution is for a supplemental contract with MAPSIS Incorporated to support the Probate Court's case management system and the Franklin County Justice System until the new court case management system is in place. This will be the 6th year of having such a support contract in place since the Probate Court's primary resource retired in 2017. This contract is a fixed rate of $109 per hour, not to exceed the $251,900. Pending any questions, I request approval of this resolution.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 930-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 93022 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Have a great day. Next, we have the engineer.
Resolution number 93122, resolution requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on portions of Winchester Pike, County Road number 376, Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning. How are you?
Great, how are you all?
Living the dream.
Afraid you're going to wake up or you want to stay asleep?
I might want to stay asleep.
My name is Cornell Robertson, Franklin County Engineer, Franklin County Drainage Engineer, and Chair of the Franklin County Transportation Improvement District. Commissioners, this first resolution is a request from a resident to study the speed limit on Winchester Pike in the southeast part of the county in Madison Township. We conducted our study along 2 sections of Winchester Pike totaling nearly 3 miles between No Bixby Road and Gender Road, and determined a reduction from 55 miles per hour to 50 miles per hour is warranted. If you approve this resolution, we will forward the study to ODOT for their consideration. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 931-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 93122 has been adopted.
Thank you. Next, we have Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 93222, resolution authorizing the 7th Amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, the Franklin County Engineers Office, and the Franklin County Transportation Improvement District.
As stated, this resolution authorizes an update to the intergovernmental agreement among the Board of Commissioners, County Engineer, and the Franklin County Transportation Improvement District. This updated agreement, initially approved by the Commissioners on November 26, 2019, amends the Franklin County Transportation Improvement District program of projects to expand the limits of the Morris Road Corridor project to the eastern county line, adds the Clark State Road at Wagner Road project, the US 62 at Central College Road project, the Walnut Street at State Route 605 project, the Kitzmiller Road Corridor, and the Reynoldsburg-New Albany Road Corridor project. Though the new Intel development is coming to Licking County, we expect that these existing intersections and corridors in Franklin County will be impacted by the influx of traffic. Adding them to our program of projects will allow us to study them and make funding applications for improvements as warranted. Pending any questions, I request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 932-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 93222 has been adopted. Resolution number 93322, resolution ordering the county engineer to prepare plans, specifications, estimates, and assessments for the improvement of the ODOT Argabright Ditch Watershed, Pleasant Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
This resolution is for the ODOT Argabright drainage improvement in the southwest part of the county in Pleasant Township east of Darbydale along State Route 665 between Lambert Road and US 62. The petition was filed to help address flooding conditions that exist within the right-of-way along State Route 665 and on private property. At last week's general session on December 6th, you held the first hearing to consider the initial report that my staff prepared in favor of the project, and you heard testimony, both written and oral, in favor of and opposed to the proposed improvements. There was also discussion pertaining to how the project will be funded, including Ohio Department of Transportation, private property owners, and possibly a portion from the Board of Commissioners. With today's resolution, I'm asking you to authorize the county engineer to move forward with the project to prepare plans, specifications, estimates, and assessments. We will also work with county administration to search for grants or other funding sources that your board may be able to utilize to cover some of these design and construction costs. One such funding source may be American Rescue Plan funds, as I included in my ARP request of April 15, 2022. We know that American Rescue Plan funds can be used for stormwater infrastructure investments. By improving drainage, this project is conducive to public health, safety, and welfare in an equitable way. It will provide better outlets for home sewage treatment systems, thereby making drinking water wells safer for all residents in the watershed. It will increase crop yields to feed more people, and it will provide safer driving conditions for the approximately 5,200 motorists who travel State Route 665 daily. Please note that this resolution does not obligate the county to actually undertake any improvements. Rather, this merely allows the county engineer to prepare plans necessary to determine the estimated cost and benefits accruing to property owners. If you approve today's resolution, the county engineer's office will perform detailed design, calculate construction costs and maintenance costs, search for funding sources, determine maximum assessments to ODOT and private property owners to reimburse your board for fronting the design and construction costs, and determine maximum assessments to ODOT and private property owners for maintenance. Once these tasks have been completed, we will schedule a final hearing to present them for you to hear testimony again from interested property owners and for you to decide if the project will continue to competitive bid and construction. I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
Commissioners, we do have 2 speaker slips that were submitted for this resolution. First, we will take our virtual participant. Her name is Kathy Myers. Kathy, if you could please come on the screen. Thank you. So before you do get started, I just want to let you know a few rules of decorum. So you will limit your remarks to 3 minutes. I will give you a 1-minute warning, and you do need to speak directly for this resolution. And your speaking must be within the order of decorum for this meeting. Do you have any questions before we get started?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you may begin whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. I want to thank you for this opportunity to come before you one last time prior to deciding whether to proceed with spending the money on the design of this petition. After my testimony last Tuesday, I felt compelled to summarize and add to my argument as to why not to proceed for you to deny this petition. Thus, you should have received a letter to that effect, and I understood that this letter could not be entered into evidence. But I would briefly like to hit on those bullet points quickly one last time as why you should deny this petition. First, this petition was initiated by an ODOT employee, not a resident of this watershed. It is on record to you all that the ODOT employee testified he initiated the petition out of road safety. However, when pressed by you, he admitted there was no safety issue of water on State Route 665, just water on private property. He then threw out a safety issue about private septic systems flooding. Again, this is a private property issue, not an ODOT concern. However, it is my understanding that there is one resident within this watershed having such issue. But I would also like to mention, and the county engineer's office could also back this up with their confirmed testimony, private septic systems have a lifespan of 20 to 30 years. So it could be the case that this resident may need to replace their septic system. This is something happens in the country, and we expect to have this cost every so often. The second flaw with this petition is that I referred to in my testimony is the cost benefit analysis. In Central Ohio, the amount of times a year we experience 2 to 3 days of heavy rain is a max of 3 to 4 times a year. So we are talking 3 to 4 times a year, the ponding on one's private property of being an issue. You all live in Central Ohio. You know I'm not making this up. This is not Seattle, Washington. The water will recede after a few days. But for those
You have
3
1
to
minute
4 times a
remaining.
year, we do have a problem. No matter what the cost of this project would come back at, even if it came back at just $1 million instead of the $2 million, this cost is still too high for something that may fix the issue. Which leads me to my final point. For testimony during our informational meetings that the county engineer's office were so graciously to have in Pleasant Township, at least 2 other homeowners signed the petition under false pretenses and asked their names to be removed. They indicated ponding issues on their private properties are construction issues. One has a drainage pipe that was supposed to be temporary and never got replaced, and so it's too small to allow water to flow through. The other one said the builder of the house that owned previous to them had poor design. No matter how you look at this, the majority of the residents in this watershed, your constituents, are not in favor of spending money towards this project. This petition is flawed and should be denied. We appreciate your concern with the water issues, but would appreciate more if you stop this petition immediately, because this will not fix the problem. Instead, this will strap us with unwanted debt.
Ms.
and
Myers, your
headache.
time has expired.
All right, thank you.
And next, we will hear from Kenneth Yarnell. Kenneth, if you can please approach the podium. The same rules do apply, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Just
Hi
give me
there.
1 moment.
Hi there, Kenneth Yarnell, 4688 London Grove Port Road. I'm in the area east of Kathy Myers. Everything she says is true. I've been fighting, you have a letter of mine also that I put a lot of information on there for you to answer any questions that you might have. Like I wrote in there, I've been working with ODOT over 2 years trying to get my flooding issues caused, which is the 3,600-foot line in front of my house, okay? It's going to be another 2 to 4 years before that line is replaced, okay? The majority of the cause of flooding has been overlooked down there, all right? The initial cause was a farmer tiling his field, and the tiling company cut the main line that serves a lot of people in there, okay? It took the residents months and months to get that replaced, and the pictures that they provided was during that time of that flooding. Again, the water goes away, all right? The biggest cause of all the flooding down there, not including the rain, okay, is the tiling of the fields. There's been, it's easy to look at that they've completely not followed Ohio's drainage laws. The farmers are putting in all this tiling, thousands and thousands of feet down there, and dumping them into the current system, which can't handle it, which is causing flooding to everybody that has the culverts down there. That's what's causing their issues, okay? So until it's looked into, I would ask that all drainage, any future drainage, somehow put a stop to it until this situation is figured out. There's rolls upon rolls of tile
1 minute.
on the farms down there right now ready to go in the ground. If they put those in the ground, this whole situation is going to be exemplified. If they tie that tile into my tile, which is 100% obstructed at this time, I'll never have a septic system. I'll never have a dry yard, all right? ODOT and I have been working. We're trying and trying. I've pointed out where the blockage is, but just can't get to the right person to get it taken care of. We don't have the time. We don't have the people. We're going to replace that in a few years, just put up with it. Well, we can't put up with it. But this situation here, I asked you to table this until this is looked at, the drainage laws and how they've been violated, because there are some landowners that are responsible for the damage to a lot of homeowners down there, okay? There's more research being done on it to bring this out, and if you could table this, we can bring that back to you at a later date. Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with a couple of questions. One, I just want to revisit the safety issue that was raised. If that roadway floods and that water freezes, if someone could maybe just talk to that. And then this issue of, I'm not sure I was clear, that, so it was not a resident that started the petition? It was actually ODOT? I don't know why I missed that, okay. But could someone clarify, talk about the safety issue?
If I could ask Jim Ramsey to come forward from our drainage department. And before I turn the podium over to Jim, I would say that in regard to flooding along State Route 665, that is Ohio Department of Transportation's primary jurisdiction. However, I can speak in general terms about flooding along roadway, just simply not good. Also, if drainage is standing along roadways, then that can weaken the structure of the road itself. So obviously flooding along roadways is bad for someone to drive off and into it, but again, that drainage that just sits, it can be detrimental to the structure of the road itself. Jim?
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner, it is correct that ODOT filed the petition largely in response to resident complaints to them because some of the road water does pond along the road and the area lacks a comprehensive drainage system to serve all the residents, and through some of the testimony you can hear that. The problem is that the system that's needed is more than just what is needed for the road, so ODOT feels it's not appropriate for them to build the entire thing that's needed to serve that area, but they are a part of it and are willing to pay their part. So they elected to file the petition so that a comprehensive system could be looked at that would serve both their road and the private residents.
So do we know how much their part is, ODOT's?
Approximately 30%.
Okay. All right, thank you. I don't know how this works. She's the president. He's got a question. I don't know if you want to take this gentleman. He was one of the speakers.
Yes. Can you come to the podium, please? Thank you.
I think I can give some light also to that being filed by ODOT was in my work with ODOT, and that farm tile was cut and all the flooding was happening, ODOT was approached about the flooding, and they went out and investigated. And this is from the former manager at the Grove City Garage that I worked with on my project. And they went out and investigated, and they said, well, this isn't an ODOT problem, it's because of the tile issue in the field. Then that's when the only thing that they had, I think they filed the petition because of not getting anywhere with the landowner to fix the tile, okay? Once that tile was repaired, and again, it took them months, once it's repaired, everything disappeared in that area and everything went back to normal that it has been for years and years and years. I agree, putting a tile along a roadway absolutely saves the roadway and helps with it not deteriorating, okay? But landowners, they shouldn't be responsible for any part of that, okay? And then, again, at the west end, the responsibility lies on those farmers that have been putting those tiles in and flooding these people. So that's where this whole thing comes from.
Thank you.
And again, we can provide additional information to support that after we have a few weeks to gather some more information.
Thank you. And there was a gentleman last week who testified who was from ODOT, correct? That's what I thought. We spoke to it a little bit. And so just to be clear, the vote today would just be to move forward with additional assessments, topography, and all of those to get a more accurate forecast of what it would cost to, repair the area in the ditch in the watershed. Okay. Correct. All right. Thank you. Are there any more?
There are not, Madam President.
Okay.
So, Madam President, may I ask one more question? So, to the engineer, so will the deeper assessment give us or shed more light on ODOT's responsibility? So will it tell us really what's causing the flooding and where the corrections need? And so we'll have a more accurate sense of, if it's, because the residents there should not pay for an ODOT element. However, if the entire region is being flooded by a systematic failure and there are parts, and that's what this assessment tells us, kind of gives us a more accurate picture, then I think that's fair. But I don't want any resident paying for anything that ODOT is responsible for. If they're responsible for it, they need to pay. And so I can appreciate the 30% sort of measure. And I guess the bottom line for my question is I want to make sure that this assessment will give us more clarity on what their responsibility is with regards to the flooding.
It will, Commissioner. When we come back after with final plans and the full assessment schedule, it will define exactly what ODOT's responsibility is. And as far as if there is something that is done specifically for the roadway, it will all be paid by ODOT. If there is something that is done that is a shared benefit between private property owners, then that cost would be distributed that way. And I think in some of the discussion about the existing old tiles and things like that, remember that they're very old, that they were probably, we don't have records of this, but more than likely what happened is they were private tiles that were put in that then everybody just added on to. And they weren't designed to be a comprehensive system, and they weren't designed to serve residential homes in the area.
Thank you.
Sorry. So we've done these over the years, and we usually get, pretty comprehensive picture, which I'm hoping that if we vote today to continue to move forward, that's what we're gonna get. We're not voting today to whether to move on with the assessment, or not, I'm sorry, we're voting to move on with the assessment. We're not voting to move on with the project necessarily. But Mr. Yarnell brought up some interesting points today. And so I'm curious to know, I'm curious to know the larger picture. We have a lot of residents that are concerned about having to pay, for something that either A, they don't believe is that big a deal, or B, certainly don't believe is their fault or that they should have to pay for. Certainly, we don't want any of them paying for anything that ODOT would be paying for. But if these farmers, have made improvements to their land that have negatively impacted these residents, then we need to know that, and we certainly would want to assess those farmers. And so, we'd want to know that information as well. And so I'm curious. I'd like to move forward today with this assessment. Mr. Yarnell, if you want to speak, we'll have to address President Crowley. We'll let that happen. But I'd like to know that information, more about that information. So I'm curious. I want to move forward today with the assessment so that we can know the larger picture. When we do these, we always have to know the larger picture, and we've always had in the past, the larger picture. And so Ms. Myers this morning asking us to not vote to move forward, I simply don't agree with that, because we need more information. We can't just shut this down and not go forward and not get more information here. We need to have more information.
Yeah, I mean, the speakers last week said the same thing, because they said we don't have enough information. But if we table it or vote no, then we would never get the additional information that we need to make an informed decision on whether to continue on further. So, I'm in agreement with getting the additional information that is needed to be able to move forward and get a more detailed assessment and see what the share responsibility would be for everyone, ODOT, if they take care of all of it or share in some of the benefit. But it takes the vote today to be able to get that.
And I think you heard from us, I'm sorry, I apologize, Commissioner Crowley, President Crowley.
Go ahead.
You know, we aren't, I think you heard from us last week that we are not, or we are concerned about and are in agreement with, you know, the residents that this is a large burden. And we get that. We understand that this is a large burden. And it's concerning to us that the burden is so large. And so, but the other side of that is we need to understand what the full picture is here. So, sorry.
Yeah, we don't know what the burden actually is and who shares in that. So did you have something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. The only thing I would add to it is to the residents. I mean, we hear you and we appreciate your perspective, and we take that seriously. I mean, it is no matter what the cost is, we can't measure the burden that it is to you in your financial situation because it's different for each person, but we take that sensitive, and it's not an easy decision. The one thing I will tell you, though, is even one accident on that roadway in conditions that could be prevented based on things that we can decide is enough for me to support that at least review and assessment. And just in good conscience, even one accident, injury, or God forbid, some tragedy deeper, it is our responsibility to do the best we can to prevent that. And so, that to me is sort of the bottom line. And even if it floods once a year, because you wouldn't want to be that family member of the person that is traveling that road that where some improvements could have had a positive impact on that roadway. And so, at the very least, that's where I'm zeroed in on, is getting the rest of the information. I agree with my colleagues, the full assessment, so we really know what we're dealing with. But I got to tell you, at the end of the day, that's where my decision falls. I just don't feel I have a lot of options when it comes to the public safety in any kind of way. So,
Commissioner, when this petition was first brought to us by ODOT, we looked for other options to not have this be a petition to go through the full design process and do that. We investigated to see, could we find an easy fix or something more simple to resolve for this than going through this process, and that simply wasn't reasonably available to us that we could do. And then once you start the process of the petition, we're really limited in how much we can do until you give us approval to move forward and do the plan design and come up with what the actual final plan is. In our initial report, we give you a number that we think is safe because we would like to not come back with final plans and have the cost be higher than what we told you in the first initial report. And if there were an option, or if there was a possibility that this should be all ODOT's responsibility, we would be the first ones to say that. And we would just say to ODOT, you need to do this yourself, this is your responsibility, but we don't see that either, and neither does ODOT.
Madam President, one more thing to say. I will also add to, my office has been drafting, we may have sent, did we send that letter to ODOT already? Yeah. Or to the legislature, rather? Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it or it's already out, one of the two. But to ask ODOT, or ask the legislature, rather, to really reconsider that assessment process, and because we're sort of hamstrung, our hands are tied to provide, like as you said, other options, even for how that assessment is carried out. And but we're bound to the Ohio Revised Code and what's in statute. So our decision is, does it get done? And again, there are various factors that we have to consider. And once you get past that, then it's sort of formulated in the Ohio Revised Code. And so that's what we've asked the legislature to reconsider, because it is antiquated and outdated. It doesn't take into today's complexities of drainage improvements and the costs that go into that. And there's a 15-year duration that the payments can be divided, why not make it 30 years, or even longer, and so that's the kind of thing that they can do in the legislature, and we're going to ask them to do, so.
All right, thank you. All right.
Madam President, there's a hand raised as well.
Okay, okay. One
I
minute.
I
One
do
minute.
support finding out what the cause of all this flooding is, okay? But I support an in-depth finding who is causing this. There's one large tile that runs parallel with that behind a lot of the houses and across these fields. You need to look at how it's been opened up and the farmer has dumped into that. So he can't do that, okay? When it dumps out across other people's properties, that's in violation of the drainage law, correct? Okay? So I welcome them to figure out who is responsible for all this. I also welcome somebody put a stop to any additional drainage in there until this is resolved. But I'm sure and I'm positive that if they do a thorough investigation, they'll find that the source of flooding of a lot of people down through there is the farm drainage, not following Ohio drainage laws. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Myers, you have a
Yeah,
minute to provide.
Yeah, thank you.
additional testimony.
Very quickly, I just want to reiterate that there never has been any water, as per the ODOT employee, on 665, not even one time a year. 665 sits above all of the residents' land. So I just wanted to clarify that is not the safety issue. I have had cars go off the road and hit my mailbox just because they're texting and driving and go into my ditch. So have other people, just because it's 55 miles per hour and people don't pay attention to what they're doing. But that's when there's dry land and I've had damage on my property. So I just wanted to clarify that point, that there is and has never been any water ponding on 665.
Thank you. Okay.
Want to move forward? Okay. All right, if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 933-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes,
Resolution number 933-22 has been adopted.
thank you. Next up, we have the sheriff.
Resolution number 934-22. Resolution authorizing the county administrator to sign memorandums of understanding on behalf of the Board of Commissioners to add members to the Franklin County Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force for the remainder of the calendar year 2022.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Albert Smith, Assistant Finance Director for the Sheriff's Office. Our first resolution will allow our office to enter into a MOU with New Albany, the Police Department, to join our Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. It's also known as our ICAC Task Force for the remainder of 2022. Pending any questions, I request passage of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 934-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes,
Resolution number 934-22 has been adopted. Resolution number
I was just
935.
gonna tell them,
Sorry, go ahead.
that's a strong beard you got there. That's pretty new.
It is. It is.
Nice work there,
Yep.
Albert.
Thank you.
Was that No Shave November?
It was, and then my wife liked it, so we kept it.
All right, he said we kept it, huh? All right.
Team effort. Nice.
Yeah, all right.
okay.
Resolution number 935-22. Resolution supporting the Sheriff's Office to continue as lead agency in the countywide DUI task force and the approval of contracts with 22 member agencies participating on the countywide DUI task force in the amount of $224,855.92.
Commissioners, our last resolution supports the Sheriff's Office to continue as lead agency for the countywide DUI task force in order to help reduce alcohol-related traffic accidents through sobriety checkpoints and saturation patrols. The duties will include administration, implementation, and oversight of a $224,855.92 grant that's offered by the Ohio Department of Public Safety, Ohio Traffic Safety Office. Also, a second portion of this resolution approves contracts required by the state for other law enforcement agencies within Franklin County that will be participating on the countywide DUI task force. There are 22 contracts that will be approved with the passage of this resolution. Pending any questions, I request passage of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 935-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 935-22 has been adopted.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you, Commissioners. You too.
Next, item H.
Resolution number 936-22. Resolution authorizing a guaranteed maximum price amendment number 1 to modify the original contract agreement with Elford Incorporated to provide construction manager at-risk services, including construction services associated with the construction of a mental health and addiction crisis center in the amount of $3,456,941.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darla Reardon, Director, Public Facilities Management. This resolution is the next step in the construction manager at risk project delivery model that is being employed for the construction of a mental health and addiction crisis center to be operated by Adam H. Today's resolution is the first of 3 guaranteed maximum price amendments with Elford Inc. anticipated for this project, with the other 2 to come before this board in 2023. Specifically, GMP Amendment number 1 is for the purchase of critical long lead time equipment, including electrical distribution equipment, generator, chillers, boilers, pumps, cooling towers, storm structures, and reinforced concrete pipe. It is necessary to manage schedule and avoid anticipated 2023 cost increases. This project has an established SCBE aspirational goal of 18%. GMP Amendment number 1 does not include any SCBE participation, which was anticipated, as it is associated with specific major equipment being ordered from manufacturers. Elford and the entire project team are committed to the aspirational goal of 18% and will discuss in detail SCBE outreach efforts with future GMP number 2 and number 3 amendments where opportunities exist. Additionally, LCP Tracker will be utilized on this project for workforce development tracking consistent with the county's other recent legacy projects. Jonathan Thomas, Adam H., Chief Operating Officer, and Randy Duncan, Vice President of Elford Inc., are also present. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of Guaranteed Maximum Price Amendment number 1. Thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 936-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 936-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Next up, we have the Community-Based Correctional Facility.
Resolution number 937-22. Resolution authorizing the execution of a Fifth Amendment to an agreement of sublease with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction pertaining to the financing of a portion of the cost of the Franklin County Community-Based Correctional Facility.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Long, Deputy County Administrator. Back in the early 90s, Franklin County entered into an agreement of sublease with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. This amendment in front of you is the Fifth Amendment and would be providing $450,000 for a project to replace the flooring in a portion of the facility. Therefore, this resolution would authorize the Fifth Amendment to the sublease, which is attached in your materials, and would authorize any additional execution and delivery of certificates, documents, and instruments to support this Fifth Amendment as necessary. With us today, if you have any questions, further questions, is Jackie Dickinson, Executive Director, and Dominique Page, Deputy Director of Operations for the CBCF, the Community-Based Correctional Facility. Also online is Jennifer Gentry, Assistant Chief of Ohio DRC. Pending any questions, would recommend your approval.
Thank you, Deputy Administrator Long. So I just want to be clear. So we lease that facility to The Ohio Rehabilitation and Corrections, I'm confused by that. I'm not familiar with the relationship.
A leasing amendment, as I understand it, has a host of capital leases from ODRC, but I will defer to Jackie Dickinson on CBCF and ODRC to go back to the original element, because to your point, Commissioner, the original amendment is from 1991 and 1992.
Okay, yep.
Director Dickinson, are you able to respond?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Commissioners. I was just going to explain the original concept of the CBCFs, because there are 17 others in the state of Ohio, was that these facilities are prison diversion programs to keep offenders, obviously, from going to prison, but they were originally locally controlled. So they were controlled by the courts, local courts, and the commissioners provided the land and pretty much the building. And so DRC leases that to use it for the offenders to be here instead of in prison.
I wasn't, I always thought it was under our control, and I was under the impression it was under our control with some relationship, obviously, but I don't think I knew that history, so that's helpful. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
No. All right. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption.
What is the amount?
This amount of the Fifth Amendment is for $450,000 to replace a flooring area in the facility. And again, Director Dickinson, I'll defer to you if there are any further details to Commissioner Crowley's question.
Yes. So originally we requested 3 projects. We requested an enclosure in the back area of the facility for storage purposes. And then we also requested an air conditioning unit be placed in our technical closet or room. And then flooring throughout the facility. So the majority of the flooring throughout the entire facility is original from 1993. And so over the years, there's been sections that have been in bad shape, and now it's just to the point where it all needs redone.
Okay.
So because of the inflation, we decided, DRC decided to give us the $440,000, sorry, $450,000 for just the flooring. And then we will revisit the other projects in the future.
So who's giving the money? Where does the money come from? This is just a amendment to the agreement, but so the state is actually paying for the flooring?
Yes.
That's my
Okay,
understanding,
gotcha,
yes.
gotcha,
Okay.
okay.
Yes, but because it is a permanent addition to the building, that's why they have to redo the lease.
I got it. Interesting. Okay. All right, if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 937-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 937-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Franklin County Data Center.
Resolution number 938-22. Resolution authorizing the county administrator to enter into an agreement with Mimecast North America Incorporated for the evaluation of technology security software.
Good morning, Commissioners. Julie Lust, CFO with the Data Center. The Data Center provides email and email security services to partner agencies throughout the county. We have determined that our current email security product needs to be replaced with a more comprehensive solution, and this is the second product that we're evaluating. This resolution authorizes the county administrator to enter into an evaluation agreement with Mimecast North America for a 30-day proof of concept evaluation at no charge to the county. The agreement has been reviewed and approved as to form by the prosecuting attorney's office and has data board approval. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 938-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 938-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 939-22. Resolution authorizing a consultant contract with Proven FM for consulting and support services to aid in the selecting and implementing a fiscal tool in the amount of $157,150.
Thank you. And the data center respectfully requests that this resolution be tabled until January 10th, 2023, to allow us time to further research this project associated with this contract.
Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. This resolution procedurally should be postponed until the general session of January 10th of 2023 versus table.
Thank you.
How does that work? I don't know, was it postponed? How do you do that?
Without
Because you,
without tabling.
yeah, you got to table it, don't
The
you?
prosecuting attorney's office will provide an explanation of.
When you table a motion, when you table an item, if it's not brought back at the very next meeting, it's considered have failed. So you postpone it to a date certain and thereby allow it. You can't table to a date certain.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. Okay.
That's under Robert's rules.
Right. So so I'm gonna make a motion to postpone it?
Postpone the item to a date certain under Robert's rules. That's the motion before you.
Okay. All right, if there are no comments or questions, move to postpone Resolution 939-22 until general session on January 10th, 2023.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 939-22 has been postponed until January 10th, 2023.
Thank you.
That's a first.
We always learning.
I was like, I learned 2 new things a day. I'm keeping my cup full here, okay. And just, I thought I knew everything, John.
Well, you do, Kevin. You do.
Man, I thought I knew it all. I guess I don't. Sorry about that, President.
Unless we're discussing football. You know everything.
Let's move on to the Office on Aging.
Resolution number 940-22. Resolution approving 15 contracts for home-delivered meals and emergency response systems in the amount of $11,808,670.70.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. I'm Shonda Wingo, the Interim Director for the Franklin County Office on Aging. This contract will provide home-delivered meals, emergency response systems, and home security systems for our Senior Options, which is a Franklin County Office on Aging program. It's a consumer-focused program of care that is funded by our Senior Services Levy, with the goal of allowing Franklin County seniors the ability to maintain their independence within their home as long as possible, safely and securely. The term of the contract will be for a period of 3 years, beginning December 6, 2022 through November 30th, 2025, with a 2-year extension option. I'd like to note that this contract is important, as just this year alone, we were able to deliver more than 1 million meals to over 6,700 seniors. With the price of inflation, we know that groceries increased in cost of about 13%, which the average is normally 8%. And so that's also why we've requested to extend free meals through all of 2023 to make sure our seniors are able to have access to nutritious foods. This resolution also supports goal number 5 and goal number 10 of your Rise Together Blueprint. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 941-20.
That's
I'm sorry,
940.
940, I'm sorry. I already had marked it. 940-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 940-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 941-22. Resolution authorizing an allocation of the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund to support the Franklin County Property Tax Assistance Program in the amount of $120,000.
Thank you. The Franklin County Property Tax Assistance Program is housed within the Columbus Foundation to prevent tax delinquency and provide emergency one-time payment of property taxes to eligible seniors 60 years or older with low to moderate incomes. The Board of Commissioners approved this resolution previously. In working with the Auditor's Office, we've identified an additional need to close out 2022 and allow seniors to remain in their homes as long as possible. This resolution supports goal number 5 of your Rise Together blueprint, as well as goal number 7. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 941-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Resolution number 941-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Shonda, sorry, yesterday I was at a funeral, and the widow came over to let me know that she and her husband, her late husband, have been accessing the services of the Department of Aging, and she wanted to let me know that not only your staff, but the services were fantastic, and the last 8 weeks have been, because of the services of the agency, the last 8 weeks of her husband's life were made that much better. And so I thanked her for the comment, and she gave me a big hug. I wanted me to make sure that somebody knew.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's amazing. We do great work.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Thanks, Animal Control.
Resolution number 942-22. Resolution authorizing the acceptance of a gift from the estate of Catherine D. Denton in the amount of $50,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lionel Hamilton, Fiscal Officer for Animal Care and Control. This resolution seeks the acceptance of funds received in the amount of $50,000 as a gift donation from the estate of Catherine D. Denton. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 942-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Resolution number 942-22 has been adopted.
Thank you. Next, child support enforcement.
Resolution number 943-22. Resolution authorizing a consultant contract with Counterpoint Mediation Services, LLC, for professional mediation services in the amount of $45,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Susan Brown, representing Child Support. The Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, ODJFS, received a grant award from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, grants to states for access and visitation programs to enhance parenting time between children and non-custodial parents. The CSEA applied for the grant and received notice from ODJFS in July of this year that we were awarded funding for our proposal to provide mediation services for parents through a contract with Linda Norris, a professional mediator. By resolution dated September 13th, 2022, the CSEA was authorized to enter a subgrant agreement to accept the funds for the program, as well as provide the county administrator with signatory authority for renewal of subgrant agreements until June 30th, 2027. This resolution authorizes the consulting contract with the mediator, Linda Norris, doing business as Counterpoint Mediation Services, LLC, for $45,000 to provide professional mediation services for parents who wish to establish an agreed parenting time and child support order at the same time or any time thereafter a child support order is established. The term of this contract is from November 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, with 4 optional 1-year renewal periods. Pending any questions, I request approval of this resolution.
Okay, it's distracting. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 943-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Resolution number 943-22 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You as well.
Thank you. Next up, EDP.
Resolution number 944-22. A resolution making certain findings required under Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 349, and setting a date for the required public hearings to establish a new community authority.
Good morning, Commissioners. EDP thought we'd come down and visit with you in person today, so we have a couple of staff people here. So nice to see all of you. In 2006, Commissioners, the Big Darby Accord program was adopted, and part of it involved the establishment of new community authorities. As part of this development for the villages of Galloway, Braumiller Development LLC owns and controls about 134 acres of real property in Franklin County and intends to establish a community authority under Ohio Revised Code 349. The formation of the NCA requires the developer, shall file a petition, which has happened in this instance, and the Board of Commissioners will determine that the petition meets the requirements and will set a public hearing. Both of those things have happened. The public hearing will be at our next meeting in January 10th, at this room in the Michael J. Dorian Building. I would ask that the commissioners consider this petition as having been met and the date being established. Ask for your approval of this resolution this morning.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 944-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 944-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Resolution number 945-22. Resolution approving a First Amendment to Service Agreement between the Franklin County Board of Commissioners and the Community Development Collaborative of Greater Columbus to provide community housing development organization support program in Franklin County in the amount of $48,571.
Good morning, Commissioners and Administration. My name is Janae Cosby. I'm the Community Development Administrator for Community Development and EDP. This resolution is approving the amendment to Resolution 98921 between Franklin County Board of Commissioners and the Collaborative. The Community Development Collaborative of Greater Columbus will use home funds allocated by the county to provide technical and operational support to Franklin County designated community housing development organizations, or CHODOs. Technical and operational support includes establishing funding and administrative guidelines, reviewing applications for financial assistance from eligible CHODOs, making funding decisions, executing grant agreements with CHODOs that have been awarded, reviewing requests for payments from such CHODOs to ensure eligibility of reimbursements, issuing payments to CHODOs, maintaining CHODO files, and submitting an annual audit and indirect cost allocation plan. The Collaborative and Franklin County have agreed to amend the service agreement from April 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval for this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 945-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 945-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 946-22. Resolution approving a First Amendment to Service Agreement between the Franklin County Board of Commissioners and the Community Refugee and Immigration Services to provide translation and case management services for individuals impacted by COVID-19 in Franklin County.
Yes, thank you. And with me today, I have Susan Gregorick on behalf of Community Refugee and Immigration Services, CRIS. The Community Refugee and Immigration Services will provide interpretation and case management services to eligible low income or very low income limited English proficiency Franklin County individuals and families who are seeking economic stability following the COVID-19 pandemic. CRIS will provide extended services with this amendment until June 30th, 2023. Services will be provided upon request and in collaboration with other Franklin County contracted community organizations. This agreement is funded by county COVID-19 second round community development block grant funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And this program is funded for a total of $400,730 with the county COVID-19 second round CDBG funds. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
Madam President?
Yeah.
Susan's online, correct?
Yes.
Susan, how many languages does Chris provide? I've often wondered that question and never asked him.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity for this funding. Chris currently, it comes and goes, but I would say at least over 50 languages right now. Right now, we can offer in-person interpretation for Arabic, Somali, and Spanish. And then we use an app for other languages that we don't have on staff. But that in-person interpretation is just so vital to the community because it provides, that extra special care that participants need and customers need when they're accessing social services. And the other great thing about our services is that we don't do just word-for-word interpretation. We can actually help them fill out forms, do intake packages, navigate the services, connect them with other resources, do wraparound services, all in their source language. And it makes it a lot more easy and a lot more comfortable for them to get through their daily lives and, become economically self-sufficient and stable.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 946-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 94622 has been adopted. Resolution number 94722. Resolution approving a First Amendment to Service Agreement between the Franklin County Board of Commissioners and Community Housing Partnership Incorporated, doing business as Homeport, to provide a first-time homebuyer down payment assistance and homebuyer counseling program in Franklin County.
Commissioners, before I begin, I'd like to ask there be an amendment to 947-22 to change Community Housing Partnership to Columbus Housing Partnership. It should only appear in the agenda and on the summary, in the header, and in the name of the contractor.
Move to amend as submitted, Resolution 947-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Amended Resolution 94722 has been adopted.
And in addition to, going back to that, I would like to submit that this be an amendment to the first agreement, A1819, which is seeking to extend the original contract to June 30th, 2023, providing services. Homeport is a nonprofit housing developer which also equips thousands of Central Ohioans with the foundational skills needed for successful home ownership. On behalf of Homeport, our Columbus Housing Partnership is Netta Whitman and Maud Hill. And we would like to ask, pending any questions, that this resolution be approved to extend the services.
All right, if there are no further comments or questions, move to adopt amended Resolution 947-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Amended Resolution 94722 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 94822. Resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Amanda Colmar at 5631 Sullivan Avenue, Galloway, Ohio, 43119.
Good morning. My name is Julissa Tiruchao. I am administrative assistant for EDP, and I have one discharge of mortgage today. Amanda Colmar, she received on May 30th, 2013 from Franklin County a home loan for $4,131.92 on real estate, commonly known as 5631 Sullivan Avenue, Galloway, Ohio. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied, and the property taxes are paid and current. Pending any questions, I respectfully request for your approval of the discharge of mortgage on this property.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 948-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 94822 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Next up, Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 94922. Resolution approving a contract extension between the Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services and FB Columbus LLC for the lease of the Franklin County West Opportunity Center in the amount of $2,425,050.
Good morning, Commissioners. Vivian Turner, Chief Administrator for Franklin County Job and Family Services. Commissioners, the original terms of the contract with FB Columbus LLC to lease the space for where we operate our West Opportunity Center ran from January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2019. That contract included 2 additional three-year extensions. The resolution would exercise that second and final third-year extension running from January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2025. The total amount of the contract extension is not to exceed just over $2,425 over the course of the 3-year term. All other terms of the original lease are unchanged. And pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 949-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 94922 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next up, Justice Policy and Programs.
Resolution number 95022, resolution granting authority to the county administrator to sign all certification and assurance documents related to the FY 2022 Justice Assistance Grant application.
Good Commissioners and County Administration. Rochelle Pride, Director for the Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Franklin County and the cities of Columbus, Reynoldsburg, and Whitehall were established as disparate by the U.S. Attorney's Office and therefore are required to enter into a joint funding agreement for the total amount of $523,153 in order to move forward in the application process. The Board of Commissioners approved resolution number 0716-22 on September 27th of 2022, authorizing the cities of Columbus, Reynoldsburg, and Whitehall to enter into an MOU with Franklin County to confirm an agreed-upon funding plan for the FY 2022 Justice Assistance Grant application. The final step in the application process is to submit the corresponding certification and assurance documents related to the grant program. This resolution would grant authority to the county administrator to sign all certification and assurance documents related to the FY 2022 JAG application. The county administered is authorized, pursuant to section 305.30 of the ORC to execute all waivers and certifications related to the JAG program. Pending any questions, we would ask your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 950-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 95022 has been adopted. Resolution number 95122, resolution supporting the adoption of the Justice Counts Initiative to enhance and standardize justice system data collection intended to provide policymakers with timely, reliable, and relevant data, and to encourage partner justice agencies to sign a memorandum of understanding formally adopting the Justice Counts Tier 1 metrics.
The National Justice Counts Initiative is an initiative led by the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Council of State Governments Justice Center, and 21 partner organizations to develop and help implement consensus-driven metrics for criminal justice systems agencies. Policymakers are often forced to make critical decisions about the safety of their constituents using limited or stale criminal justice data. And the adoption of Justice Counts Initiative by justice system stakeholders in Franklin County would help to mitigate this challenge by ensuring decision makers have access to consistent, timely, and accurate data across the criminal justice system. This MOU formalizes the participation of each listed party to support the Justice Counts Initiative and implement the Tier 1 Justice Counts metrics to the extent of their capacity. The MOU sets forth the basic tenets of each system partner's commitment and willingness to participate in the Justice Counts Initiative and to work with the Franklin County Office of Justice Policy and Programs and assigned technical assistance providers offered through the Bureau of Justice Assistance and the Council of State Governments to implement the Tier 1 metrics. I am expressly proud to relay that Franklin County is the first county in the nation to adopt Justice Counts as a priority initiative. We understand the full implementation of Justice Counts will not occur overnight, nor will it thrive without the participation of all of our partner agencies. Today, we have with us Mr. Ben Sheeler, who is the Deputy Program Director with the Council of State Governments. Pending you have any questions, we would seek your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, Move for adoption of 951-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 95122 has been adopted. Resolution number 95222. Resolution authorizing a professional service contract agreement with Kevin Irby for peer support and case management services for residents served via Safer Station in the amount of $35,000.
Mr. Irby will provide peer support and case management services to individuals seeking services at Safer Station from the Franklin County community. He will assist residents with harm reduction education on naloxone and fentanyl test strips, screen individuals seeking substance use treatment, facilitate treatment placement, and assist in the development of recovery support plans, and provide support through shared lived experiences. Mr. Irby brings a wealth of experience to his role as a peer, including his work with OMAS, peer recovery supporter, and his certification being obtained through OMAS, chemical dependency counselor assistant 2, and work experience as a peer with a local quick response team linking overdose survivors with treatment and resources. Pending any questions, we would seek your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 952-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 95222 has been adopted.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too. Next up, sanitary engineers.
Resolution number 95322. Resolution accepting the dedication of a sanitary sewer collection system to the county and accepting a sanitary sewer easement for the sewer system from Epcom Riverside LLC.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Stowe with the Sanitary Engineers. Earlier this year, the county entered into a private sewer agreement with Epcon Riverside LLC for the construction of a sanitary sewer collection system to serve the development known as the Courtyards on Riverside Phase 2, located in Perry Township. Per this private sewer agreement, Epcon was required to construct a private sanitary sewer collection system at their sole expense and to ultimately dedicate the sewer system to Franklin County upon completion of the system and approval by the county. Epcon has also executed sanitary sewer easements in favor of the county, which provides the county access to the sewer system necessary for continued operation and maintenance of the system. Epcon has formally requested the county accept the dedication of the sanitary sewer system and take ownership of the system. The sanitary engineer recommends to the board that the board formally accepts the dedication of the sanitary sewer system to the county and thereby take ownership of the sewer system. Pending any questions or comments, I request the passage of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 953-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 95322 has been adopted. Resolution number 95422. Resolution authorizing a first modification to the professional engineering services contract with MS Consultants Incorporated for the sanitary sewer improvements project.
Back in 2019, the Board of Commissioners entered into a contract with MS Consultants Incorporated, excuse me, to provide general engineering services for our sanitary sewer improvements project, which included our Young Estates pump station replacement project. An incorrect elevation used in the plans and discovered during the construction of the pump station would result in negative slope of the incoming gravity sewer main. Due to the incorrect elevation, rectification work must be undertaken by the contractor to ensure the slope of the incoming sewer as designed is achieved. Without admitting fault or liability, both parties desire to modify the original agreement in order to address the elevation issue by requiring a payment from MS Consultants to the county in the amount of $35,000, which will be paid to the contractor to perform the work to rectify the sewer main. Pending any questions or comments, I request approval of this resolution.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 954-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 95422 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have human resources.
Resolution number 95522. Resolution authorizing a contract modification between Franklin County and OptumRx PBM of Illinois Incorporated to incorporate updated pricing and reporting requirements for the Franklin County Cooperative Health Improvement Program in the amount of $953,200.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Laura Rapasky, Director of Franklin County Human Resources. This resolution is a contract modification with Optum Rx, the Franklin County Cooperative's pharmacy benefit manager. The modification accomplishes the following. It will incorporate pharmacy dispensing fees associated with over-the-counter COVID test kits and antiviral medications. It secures ongoing support from Optum Rx to meet the plan's transparency obligations under the Consolidated Appropriations Act. It increases the not-to-exceed amount of the Optum Rx contract to accommodate these and other expenses. It also improves the discount fees and rebates for plan year 2023 resulting from the annual market check conducted by Employers Health. Pending any questions or comments, we respectfully request your approval of the resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 955-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voted. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 955-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 956-22. Resolution authorizing a business associate agreement with Cancer Bridge LLC to allow data collection, aggregation, and reporting for the Cancer Focused Navigation Program for the Franklin County Cooperative Health Improvement Program.
Commissioners, this resolution would authorize a business associate agreement with Cancer Bridge. Our contract with Cancer Bridge was executed in early 2022 and extends until early 2027. Due to the nature of the Cancer Bridge services at the time of the contract, a BAA was not executed. But however, Cancer Bridge intends to start collecting and aggregating data on member usage of the services and reporting those back to the cooperative, and therefore a BAA is needed at this time. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 956-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 956-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 969-22. Resolution revising the Wellness Incentive Program policy for non-bargaining Board of Commissioner employees.
Commissioners, our final resolution this morning requests approval of revisions to the Wellness Incentive Program policy for non-bargaining Board of Commissioner employees. The Ohio Revised Code allows political subdivisions to adopt alternative policies for compensation of employees' sick leave balances remaining at the end of the year. For many years, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners has had a wellness incentive program that allows eligible employees the option to elect to convert remaining sick leave balances at the end of the wellness period to a cash payment or personal leave. The current wellness incentive program was approved in resolution number 40295. The Franklin County Department of Human Resources seeks revision of the Wellness Incentive Program to reflect changes to the authorizing provisions of the revised code and to provide greater flexibility in administration of the program. We also seek approval for the county administrator to take all additional actions necessary to administer the policy not inconsistent with the resolution. Pending any questions or comments, we respectfully ask for your approval of the resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 969-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 969-22 has been adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, purchasing.
Resolution number 957-22. Resolution authorizing an agreement with Gordon Flesh Company Incorporated for Fusion Pro VDP Creator and Expression Software in the amount of $7,875.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Valenier, Director of Purchasing. This resolution would authorize an agreement with Gordon Flesh Company for a 5-year subscription to Fusion Pro, a variable data publishing software to be used in the county print shop. The county currently has a numbering machine that's been used for various production projects, which is aged out of useful life. At a cost of $7,875 for this 5-year term, this contract will allow the county to leverage a low-cost technology that will provide expanded functionality. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 957-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 957-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 958-22. Resolution authorizing a contract modification, modification number 2, with Brinks US, a division of Brinks Incorporated, for the provision of armed courier services in the amount of $200,000.
Commissioners, this resolution would authorize a contract modification with Brinks US, who is currently providing armed courier services for the county. This is a no-cost modification that will update pickup and drop-off locations as a result of the Treasurer's Office's transition of depository services from US Bank to Huntington National Bank. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 958-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 958-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 959-22. Resolution authorizing a purchase order to Byers Ford LLC for the procurement of a 2022 Ford F-350 Transit van in the amount of $62,513.
Commissioners, as stated, this resolution would seek your approval of a purchase order to Byers Ford in the amount of $62,513 for the purchase of a new 2022 Transit van. The vehicle will be used by the Sheriff's Office for the safe and secure transport of inmates and is being purchased from an active contract awarded to Byers Ford as a result of a 2021 competitive invitation to bid. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 959-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 959-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Before we move on to the last item on the agenda, which is the Board of Commissioners, and people start really logging off because we're going to go into executive session, I want to take a moment of personal privilege, and I probably should have did it at the beginning, but my mind is somewhere else because I had a bill not pass today. So, but I want to do it now, and since this is our last session, voting session of the year, before we go into next year, and I've had the privilege to serve one full year as a commissioner and as the president of the Board of Commissioners, and I just want to highlight some of the things that we've done and just, talk about how grateful I am. I said that at the beginning of the year when my colleagues, bestowed this opportunity upon me, only being 6 months in, that I really wanted to work to bring the county kind of like out of the shadows. We fly under the radar, which sometimes can be a really good thing, especially, when some things happen. People always, think the city or the state and never think about the county. So that could be good. But it is also important for our residents to know that we work for them and how we're working for them each and every day. And we've done some really awesome things this year, like creating county futures. I think I got that right. Take Women of Color, Franklin County Rise, a child care initiative. We've represented the board at, and I know I definitely have at a number of speaking events that, continue to raise our profile and raise awareness of the things that we're doing. We funded a number of different initiatives that hasn't always made it into the dispatch or on Channel 6 or Channel 10 or on social media, but impact the lives of our neighbors each and every single day. We've advocated individually and collectively at the federal level. And it's just really been an honor to really serve every resident every single day. And I am extremely humbled and grateful that I get to work with two amazing guys who do this work passionately each and every day, and an administration that wakes up every day and figures out what else can we be doing to make sure that everyone has the same opportunities to thrive and not just survive and move up an economic mobility ladder. And then for all of our agencies, whether it's under the BOC or, county government as a whole, if it wasn't for our staff and our employees who come to work every day to deliver services, this county would not be in the position that it's in, where other counties are looking to us for a number of best practices and taking what we're doing here and, implementing it into their own community. So, I can't say thank you enough. And thank you doesn't even begin to really explain, the gratitude that I have for all of our staff and employees and county administration and the clerk and my team and Commissioner O'Grady and Commissioner Boyce. It has been an honor, an absolute honor and privilege to serve as the president of the board and to work with you each and every day. Thank you so much. And there's still much work to be done, and I'm looking forward to 2023. So with that, we can move on to the Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 96022. Resolution appointing D'Amica Withers to the Impact Community Action Board of Directors.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lauren Gressel, Assistant Director of Community Appointments. This is appointing Ms. Withers to the Impact Community Action Board, and pending any questions, respectfully ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 960-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 96022 has been adopted. Resolution number 96122. Resolution reappointing Dennis K. Hartz to the Franklin County Conventions Facilities Authority Board of Directors.
Mr. Hartz is a member in good standing, and pending any questions, respectfully ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 961-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 96122 has been adopted. Resolution number 96222. Resolution reappointing Jacqueline R. Lewis to the Franklin County Conventions Facilities Authority Board of Directors.
Ms. Lewis is also a member in good standing, and pending any questions, respectfully ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 962-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 96222 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Resolution number 96322. Resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the Urban League of Greater Southwestern Ohio to assist in their efforts to create their own Building Futures program and to ensure recognition of Franklin County Board of Commissioners as the initial creator and model for Building Futures.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Long, Deputy County Administrator. This board, in partnership with the Columbus Central Ohio Building and Construction Trades Council, and currently in partnership with the Columbus Urban League, created the Building Futures Workforce Training Program, as you know. Building Futures is a multi-week pre-apprenticeship program that provides participants with soft skills training, general construction, and trade-specific training, and the participants have the opportunity to receive tutoring, mentoring, and other supportive services to remove barriers to successful program completion. Building Futures has proven to be a successful program and has received national recognition. And the Urban League of Greater Southwestern Ohio and Hamilton County have expressed an interest in creating their own Building Futures program. This resolution would approve a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, between this board and the Urban League of Greater Southwestern Ohio. And the MOU in particular reads as follows: in exchange for Franklin County providing guidance, documents, and other information, Franklin County will receive recognition in the promotional materials, and in particular, the Urban League of Greater Southwestern Ohio will use their best effort to promote Franklin County's role in this and state that Building Futures is modeled after the successful program created by the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, and that the board provided technical expertise to bring this innovative program to Hamilton County. Pending any questions, would recommend your approval.
I'll just add before we do move for approval that I was listening to Secretary of Labor Walsh give a speech the other day, and he was really digging into the need for organized labor. He has a labor background, I believe, but I think he was like building trades or something before he was mayor in Boston. But he was talking about a national effort needed to fuel building trades for the long haul, you know, with all the funds that the White House and the federal government have put into infrastructure over the last year or so. What he was saying, and he even talked about, what I was interested in him talking about was this pending strike with the railroads. But he was talking about, and I really found it interesting. He was talking about a shortage in building trades nationally and the need to sort of re-up that. And so this, you know, while we focused on it, was easy to do for us, thinking about Central Ohio and the building trades. I like seeing the work we're doing replicated around the country because there is a bigger picture, and it really is almost to President Crowley's point earlier about sort of bringing the county out of the shadows, and that's not meant to be an insult. That's meant to say we do great work, and we have a lot of great initiatives and things that sometimes when we move, you can see the reverberation through society. You know, when we declared racism as a public health crisis, I mean, you started to see it. While we weren't the first, when we did it, it was at a key point in time that really created a wave. And so I really believe Building Futures has a similar kind of momentum in it, in the structure. And I think this is exactly what Secretary Walsh was talking about. And so the only point I would add, my final point, is it's that kind of thing that we should be sending to Secretary Walsh to say, hey, look what we're doing in Franklin County. Yeah, he may toss it, and he may not even get it. But it's really important that they know what we're doing because it's a great idea and it's something that can be replicated and they can fund. They can help sort of spur that at a higher level and a greater capacity than we could ever do. So I think we should send something to Secretary Walsh, and I did have a chance to mention it to him, like in the past, he probably won't remember, but the point is that we should definitely send something to say, you know, we want to work with you to do this. We want to build bigger, greater capacity in Central Ohio. We want to do more around the country. So,
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll work with Lauren Rummel and Ken and others to make sure that we get that done on your behalf for the board.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
President Crowley. So I guess my question, whether it's Deputy Administrator Long, Deputy Administrator Bivens, or Administrator Wilson, have we heard from counties other than Hamilton County? Because I know that I've heard from multiple counties that they are either talking about it or are interested in doing it. Fairfield County, counties across the country. And so I just was, but what I've told them to do is contact county administration to get the details, to get the information necessary. And I just don't know if any of them have actually reached out. So curious to know if any of them have.
Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. We've had counties reach out. They haven't got to the point where the Urban League of Southwest Ohio is, but I anticipate that counties nationally will advance forward because of presentations that have been made during the Build Back Better process. There is a heightened awareness of building futures and the ability to replicate this. So I anticipate that to happen. Also, there's an effort to get a federal earmark to support the Building Futures program that is being advanced by members of our congressional delegation.
Yeah, and I know Leland Bass has his hand up. I have had a conversation with Mayor Bibb about Building Futures, and I think that was kind of what spurred there's a number of conversations, but how we ended up getting to an MOU, because there has been a lot of outreach, and I've said to county administration, can we trademark, or how do we put something on this to say, the county's vision for this 5 years ago, and now even more so, has really taken off and expanded. And some of the materials, not all of it, but some of the materials are proprietary, have come from the county, developed by the county with the county. That is being used in the training and curriculum. And so as Leland has had a lot of interest, I know, like I said, I have had conversations, and then others. It's like not always just for recognition, but also for recognition for the sweat equity and stuff that goes into, these programs. It should be noted that when we expand, that Franklin County is recognized for their efforts and the work that has been done. So I know Leland has his hand up, and then DCA Bivens, if you have some comments, absolutely.
Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity. I just wanted to add a little bit or to answer the question. We've formally been contacted by Greater Salt Lake City in Utah and Cuyahoga County up in Cleveland to enter into discussions about what it would take to assist them in propping up their own version of Building Futures. So those are two that have formally reached out to see what that process would be.
Thank you.
And Commissioners, Joy Bivens, Deputy County Administrator of Health and Human Services for Franklin County. You all have touched on pretty much of the counties that have reached out. We have gone down to Cincinnati as a team with the president of the Urban League here, Nana Watson, who you all know is a big supporter. NAACP, I'm sorry. NAACP, she would kill me. NAACP, who you all know is a big supporter of Building Futures. I think she thinks she works for the county sometimes, but it's okay.
Says she does.
She does. In addition to their vice mayor, and Leland can correct me, their vice mayor of Cincinnati, as well as their board of commissioners. As we've had these collective conversations with Cincinnati, the reason why, to your point, Commissioner Crowley, and thank you for bringing that to our attention, at the negotiation table for them to obtain our information, we wanted them to know that this program cannot move forward from our perspective until we put the right MOU in place. And thank you to my colleagues and to our prosecutor for assisting with this, because things get lost in history. So I'm asking this Board of Commissioners as well as County Administration, and I can put a team around it. We need to make sure that we put a how-to manual on Building Futures together, working collectively together, so that in history books, as well as when Salt Lake City and all these other places, Cleveland, we have to go there to talk about the budget, to talk about how we stood it up, to have the real conversations. Commissioner Boyce, you were in that initial room with the NAACP and the Black pastors, and where the community was versus where the labor was, as far as recognizing the deficit as it relates to Black and brown and women. We need to make sure, I think, we collect that history for Franklin County, but also a how-to guide for our other partners, Leland, so that we're not always having, I know we have to travel, but also there's a manual with how Franklin County did it, and I think it would be to our benefit as a county. And that's just my 2 cents, and I'm going to take my seat.
Thank you.
Well, certainly, and I just know that when I went this summer to the White House and we did the American Rescue Plan Workforce Summit, that was promoted by the White House, and Gene Sperling has been, ever since the day that we sat in the Roosevelt Room and talked about this, the White House has been promoting this, and counties all over the country have been now recognizing this and talking about it. So, and every time I go to either Luck or NACO, I get more and more questions about it. And so, I was just, and my standard answer to everybody is we're happy to work with you. We're happy to help you. We'd love to see this in other counties all across the country. And so I was just curious if people are actually continuing to reach out. So it's good to know that it's happening. So, yeah. But yes, Franklin County needs to be recognized as the originator of this program. So.
Yes. Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator again. Yes, I mean, there is no current better model, I would argue, in promoting economic mobility than Building Futures, Driving Futures, and County Futures. I have great aspirations as far as helping ourselves in promoting economic mobility as well. So I think that Mr. Bass here has the keys to a vehicle that is going to continue to multiply workers, trucks. He won't have planes yet. Maybe we can train. Maybe we can train aerospace.
Well, we do need new
pilots. We need pilots.
We do need pilots.
We need pilots. Let's think big. That's how I'm built. So Leland, let's think big. Maybe we need aerospace pilots and mechanics, technicians, and to fly the plane. So let's let the sky truly be where we're shooting from, Mr. Bass, and appreciate your partnership and Columbus, Franklin County, Central Ohio Trades, because we're going to do some great things here. I know also, mentioned in other counties, I wouldn't be surprised based on some conversations I had, Wayne County, Michigan as well, be one of those partners that join us based upon some conversations.
Yeah, we
I've
can't,
had.
Wayne County is not allowed to do it. That's Michigan, and so Michigan is the one state that we have to exempt from the ability to do, no, I'm kidding.
Commissioner Bell
Thank
did
you.
say something to me.
I know, she's
Chicago
looking for
last
me,
week.
she's looking for me. I've been avoiding her since the game, so,
Yes.
yeah.
But no, seriously, there is a shortage of pilots because, there's an age limit for pilots. And so after a certain age, you can't fly, but you don't have that many people going. I had a conversation with the labor, honestly, about this. So you don't have as many people going into the profession to become like a commercial airline pilot. I don't know what that entails, but you threw it out there. So, if anybody can make it happen, it'll be County Administrator Wilson, who will have us in the skies. So thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 963-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 963-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Resolution number 964-22. Resolution reconciling 2022 appropriations to align with projected ending revenues and the amended certificate of estimated resources.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Telerik with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution is part of the annual review required by the Auditor of State's Office to reduce appropriations in order to ensure estimated resources do not fall below the level of current appropriations, as well as authorize other adjustments for financial reporting purposes to properly account for expenditures prior to the end of the year. Included in this year's resolution are reductions in 15 funds and supplemental appropriations in 2 others. Pending any questions, I would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 964-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 964-22 has been adopted.
Zach lives for resolutions like that.
Resolution number 965-22. Resolution authorizing a general fund supplemental appropriation to record the administrative fee charged by the State Tax Commissioner for the collection of the county sales tax.
Commissioners, this is the annual resolution to account for the 1% administrative fee charged by the State Tax Commissioner for the collection of the county sales tax. The Auditor of State's Office requires the county to account for this expense and the offsetting revenue, similar to how property taxes are accounted for at the gross amount, offset by charges for the various auditor and treasurer fees. The total amount of the 1% fee this year is just over $3.8 million. The final amount will be slightly higher once we receive the updated revenue in December. But any remaining expense for the administrative fee can be absorbed within current appropriation levels. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 965-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 965-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 966-22. Resolution authorizing transfers to various operating reserve and capital funds.
Commissioners, this resolution includes various transfers to support operations for non-general fund agencies that require a general fund subsidy, such as Job and Family Services, Child Support Enforcement Agency, and the Department of Animal Care and Control. The resolution also includes transfers to support capital projects, including $20 million to the county's Permanent Improvement Fund, $3 million to the Fleet Capital Fund for the support of vehicle purchases next year, as well as $7.6 million from the Adam H. Levy Fund to the Crisis Center Fund. And the resolution also includes transfers to various reserves, such as the 27th pay reserve to plan for the next additional pay period, which will occur in 2032, and the authorizes up to $3.1 million to be transferred at the end of the year into the county's economic stabilization or rainy day fund. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 966-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 96622 has been adopted. Resolution number 96722, resolution authorizing the annual appropriation measure for fiscal year 2023.
Commissioners, my final resolution for this year would authorize the 2023 appropriation measure for Franklin County. Under the direction of the county administrator, the Office of Management and Budget has put together this $2 billion budget for the 35 agencies under the budgetary authority of the Board of Commissioners. The proposed budget for the general fund is $595 million, which is 2.7% more than 2022 projected expenditures. The main sources of revenue in the general fund is the county sales tax, which is estimated at $372 million and comprises 62% of general fund revenue. As an indication of the county's fiscal strength, the cash balance in the general fund is projected to be at 43.3% of expenditures at the end of 2023. This keeps the cash balance among the highest levels of other counties rated AAA by Moody's and Standard & Poor's. The main changes between the recommended budget presented last month and the resolution presented to you today are appropriations related to the acceptance of new grants for Child Support Enforcement Agency and the Office of Justice Policy and Programs, staffing adjustments for the Court of Common Pleas and Sheriff's Office, along with various technical amendments and cleanup items. Before returning to the county administrator for a few words, I would like to thank the fiscal staff at each of the agencies, boards, courts, and elected offices for working with OMB during this year's process. And most of all, I would like to thank my staff in the Office of Management and Budget for all of their efforts in helping prepare this budget for your consideration.
Thank you, Director Telerik, Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. I also want to thank everyone involved in this process to bring the 23 budget appropriation bill forward for final consideration. Zach, your team at the Office of Management and Budget is a very experienced team, yet a very innovative group of individuals that are very thoughtful in working under the leadership of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners to ensure that we bring forth budgets that are in line with the top counties in the country as measured by our double AAA bond rating. So I just want to say express my genuine thanks to the Franklin County Board of Commissioners for your leadership and all of Team Franklin County. It's too many and individuals to name, but as County Administrator, I have an extreme amount of gratitude to be blessed to be in this leadership role in what I believe is one of the finest managed and well-ran, and as we discussed earlier, innovative counties from a public policy standpoint. We're able to do great things for every resident every day. And it's just not talk, it's backed up through action. So I just want to say thanks, and I'm privileged to be here to see this budget be over $2 billion. Yet it is a very fiscally responsible, forward-thinking budget at the same time that it's crossed $2 billion. Thank you.
All right, well, I'll just say too that, the budget is a reflection of your value set too. And when you look at how we are spending money to help our residents every day, I think that really says how this Board of Commissioners thinks, but more importantly, what our values are. And, we don't get it perfect all the time. We make adjustments. That's what the legislative process is for. We make adjustments as we go at times. But I too appreciate all of the staff that wake up every day across Franklin County and help deliver and carry out those value sets that we have bestowed upon this institution. And so $2 billion is a lot of money to spend in a year. But I shudder to think what it would be like if we didn't have those resources. So the only additional thank you that I would offer is to the public who generates those tax revenues and trust us with the authority and the ability to appropriate that in the right direction and way. And so if there are no further comments or questions, I would be
Did you have
happy.
anything? Did you have anything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, pass it on.
Well, I appreciate,
Walty.
certainly appreciate Commissioner Boyce's comments, that's for certain, and as well as Administrator Wilson's. You know, I've been here a while. These guys like to remind me that I'm a senior commissioner. When I first got here, well, since I've been here, our all funds budget has now almost doubled. We were only a little over $1 billion when I first became a commissioner. And our general fund was about $350 million, and now it's almost $600 million. But that's a product of the county's growth. Franklin County is one of the fastest, well, it's one of the fastest growing counties, and certainly one of the only growing counties, but the fastest growing county in this part of the country. And we, you know, it's kind of amazing to see what we've become and what we will continue to become over the coming years. But Commissioner Boyce's comments about, you know, who we are and what our value set is and how we treat our residents is also reflected in you know, this budget. And you know, with being a growing county that cares about our residents. But County Administrator Wilson's comments about being a respected county nationally for our fiscal prudence and our fiscal management certainly is true. We are a county that has the respect of the rest of the country, and it's not simply based on the fact that we have a double AAA bond rating, but it's based on the leadership of, you know, the county administration, the county commissioners, but our deputy county administrators, our directors, the things that you guys do every day, and the work that is done by, you know, the employees and you know, all of you, it's recognized. It's certainly recognized. It's not, you know, it's not just, you know, the folks that sit up here, you know, it's the work that's being done every day by the employees of Franklin County. And it's, you know, we, you know, when we go to these conferences, we're the ones who get to, you know, hear about it, you know, maybe more than you guys do. But it's certainly recognized. And I hope, you know, as Commissioner Crowley mentioned earlier, I really hope that, you know, the residents of Franklin County, you know and understand and appreciate what Franklin County is all about, and the services that we provide. We need to do a better job making sure that the residents of Franklin County know and understand what it is that we are all about and what it is that this county offers to the residents of Franklin County. You know, as I expressed to Director Wingo earlier, you know, in the meeting, the residents that use and have and can access the services that we provide certainly do appreciate them on a regular basis. And so, you know, we have a great thing going here, and we need to keep it going. And we need to make sure that people know and understand who it is, you know, what it is that we provide, and do a better job of that, you know, on a daily basis. Can always get better, and we should strive to get better, because as much as good as we all think it is, we can always be better at it. So appreciate all that you guys do every day. Thank you.
And I'll just wrap up by saying, in government, there's this saying, show me your budget, I'll tell you your priorities. And so, as it's been stated, it is a value set, and we at the board value what the community has said that we need to prioritize. And so I appreciate everyone who has worked with OMB and administration to get this budget right, because it's each agency and agency directors and other supervisors and staff who have a pulse on the community, right? And they know what it is that we need to be prioritizing, whether it's programs and services and how that should be funded, and more staff to carry out those initiatives. It has been with the community in mind, and I find myself getting angry, which I'm on social media, when people push back on posts from the BOC or others, and they're like, oh, this sounds expensive, and you're using taxpayer dollars for X, Y, and Z, whether it's the NACO Core Racial Justice Network thing, and they're like, how much is this going to cost? And I'm like, yeah, we have to use taxpayer dollars, absolutely, and we're taxpayers too, but it is all in the effort to make transformational change in the lives of our neighbors. I don't say constituents, the lives of our neighbors, because our neighbors have said that they want barriers removed when they come out of the injustice system. They say that they want barriers removed when it comes to having access to affordable, safe housing. They want barriers removed to be able to support their children, whether it's through child support and their grandmother or aunt or uncle taking care of their kids. Like, they want barriers removed. So yes, we have taxpayer dollars and we spend it in a fiscally responsible way, but that is what we are tasked to do. And so I appreciate, again, everyone who has worked with you all to get this budget right. I look forward to supporting it. I look forward to seeing all the good work that gets highlighted next year, and hearing more of our resident stories about the impact, like Commissioner O'Grady shared today, or while I was out in the community this summer, and folks were talking about the Meals on Wheels program, or how they got a ramp, or all of those things. We need to be highlighting and lifting up the voices of our neighbors to show that impact. So thank you, Zach, for the work that you and your staff has done to put together the budget. I appreciate it, and thank you, administration, and I look forward to all the good work that's going to happen in 2023.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 967-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 967-22 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Resolution number 968-22, resolution of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners to convene into executive session for the purpose of considering personnel matters.
Move to convene into executive session to consider appointment of a public employee or official.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 968-22 has been adopted to convene into executive session.